Hey, you're tuned into the 5 Minute Quickie podcast, Personal Development Unplugged. And your heads up. This is a little nudge. I wonder, we've been talking about responsibility, but are you doing this very thing? Or are you doing what I was doing? It's a bit vague, isn't it, Cluffy? It is. Deliberately so, because I want you to listen after this.
Warning.
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 Warning. You are entering into the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. Too late. Personal Development Unplugged.
Hey, my friend, welcome back to, the Personal Development Unplugged podcast and this 5 Minute Quickie that will be as long as it takes. But it won't be a long one, I know. But of late, if you remember, we've been talking about taking responsibility, being at cause, don't be the effect of things. And, that's the stuff which is, I believe, one of the most critical things that we can do. It's a foundation of everything that we do. We do. Being at cause means every effect is created by you. So the effects are going to be the things that you won't be making excuses up. They won't be the things that you'll be, trying to evade away and things like that. Because they'll be caused by you. You'll appreciate it and therefore you'll do something. But the thing is, have you ever been in a position where you want to do something and you just don't know what to do? You know there's something to be done. Now, what do you do? And at the moment, you're stuck in the middle of mud, as it were. Can't move this way, can't move that way, because I don't know which way to go. And I don't know what to do. And I told you I'm an options person. I love options, sometimes too many, which really does my head in. But the thing is, if you remember, I used to talk about my colleague, Mike, who used to listen to all my options if we had a problem. So he'd send me away to do my options work because he knew I had to do it. And it also did a good thing because I worked through a process of looking at the good sides, looking at the downsides, how to mitigate each one and working things out. But sometimes I just went overboard instead of having, I don't like having just one option. I don't like having just two options because I think either this or that is not really a choice because the choice is this or that may not be the right thing, but certainly have at least three options. But I used to have 5 or 6. I used to have 1, 2, B, C, D, everything like that. And Mike would just say, okay, Paul, which one do you feel is the right thing to do? And as I said before, I would sometimes say, well, actually, it's probably mostly 2, but a little bit of 3. And he'd go, okay, let's do it. And I used to go, whoa, Mike, surely you want to go through all these in detail. And he goes, no, you've done it. Just let me know what we need to do. I'll make sure it's done. And the thing is, because we've started, if things don't go quite the way you planned it, Paul, then we'll change it. Because then we're doing something. Because in some ways, it doesn't matter what you choose, does it? Because if you've got to even think about it, to not do is also a choice. We'll come back to that in a minute. But once you've chosen, that's the thing. Once you have chosen, you make a choice. You make a choice, you take responsibility, and what's the one thing you do after that? Act. And that's the trouble, or the thing I used to have trouble with, acting. It was Mike saying, come on, let's do it. And I've taken that on board now. So I know I've got to act. I know when I act, I'm not just acting without thought, because that's a caveat I wrote in my notes. You don't just go, okay, there's 3 things here. That's what I'm going to do. It feels the right thing to do. So I'm just going to do it. Because, you haven't really, have you thought it through a little bit? So I do think you have to act, having given this issue a little bit of thought, the right amount of thought. So you're not just blindly taking actions because Cluffy said this is the thing to do, just act. Because in some way that's just reacting, isn't it? That's reacting. That's shooting from the lip. There was a saying I was going to say a little while ago and I couldn't think of it either. But it's like, just jumping. First jump. First thing you do. And sometimes when you hear people say, don't you? You must have heard this. You may have even said it yourself. I know I have. Hi? I have. I will get my diction right, I promise. You've heard this. Oh, I did that thing and it all went wrong because I just didn't think it through. I just acted. I'm really sorry. I just didn't think it through. I wasn't thinking. Or even someone says, what was I thinking? And you go, well, actually, you wasn't thinking. That was the problem. So we don't just act blindly. And certainly we don't do it on blind faith, and we don't do it on just that gut feeling. Gut feelings play an awful big part in some of my choices, but I have to have the information, the data, to make that decision. At the end of the day, it's going to be what then feels right to do. But you have to have the right data. And the thing is, it's also okay to choose not to do something. Really, Paul? Yeah, because you don't have to do things, providing, again, you've given it some thought. But what happens is if you choose not to do something, what should you do? Do something else. Because if you're not going to do anything, don't ponder anymore. Just get on and do things. Because if you think about it, if you're just going to stick and ruminate and think and just let it go, maybe worry and just stay in that one place without taking action, what are you doing? You're basically stagnating. And if you get the metaphor of water, flowing water is always clear. It's moving. It's always finding the best solution. It's going round things, over things. It's wearing away some of the rough things. And it's only when it comes to a stop, it begins to stagnate. And we want to, we call it being in the flow. But being in the flow, having thought about what we're going to do, having an end in mind. So that's the thing. You have to think. Go through those options. And then when you decide, this is what I'm going to do, you have to think about that. What, where, when, who, the consequences, the outcome. Because if you don't have an end in mind, there's no point in making a choice, is there? This is all common sense, Cluffy. I know, but what a rare commodity that is. So this, and I'm talking to you, but I'm not talking to you because I don't think, or because I think you don't make choices. But if you're anything like me, this is a little bit of a kick up the bum again to Cluffy. Things that maybe I've been stagnating on and decided this is what I've got to do. It took ages. I've just changed, I've just came to my mind, I've just changed my mobile phone. Now, the mobile phone I had, I couldn't charge because the cable went inside and it kept coming out a little bit. And therefore it kept beep, 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 beeping on, beeping off, not charging. So in the end, I've got elastic band wrapped round it to pull it over to the edge so tight so it just kept charging. And I've been doing that for a week. But at least before that, it's been maybe 2 months where I've been pushing it in, pulling it out, twisting it, pushing it in, pushing it, just to get a connection. And I'm thinking, why didn't I take action? And the only thing that made me take action was that I'm going on holiday. I'm actually going to see my youngest son, going over to the old USA, California, or San Diego. Is that in California? Somewhere like that. Anyway, San Diego. And that's the real thing that made me take action. But when I did, I had an end in mind. I had to have a phone that worked so I could use the sat-nav, things like that. I had to have a good thing that I could get my emails on. Being able to just be available when I needed it. Throw it away when I didn't. Well, not throw it away, but put it in the drawer when I don't want it because I'm on holiday. But if I do need it, it had to be reliable. Thought it through. Too many options, which phone, which all this. But then I had an outcome in mind. I'm going to do it by then. So I was in some ways forced to make that action. But I did have an outcome. I did think about it. But this is what probably prompted me to do this, because if I think back now, having made that decision, taken that action, I thought about the what, the where, the when, the who, the consequences of not doing it, the consequences of doing it. I had my outcome. It wasn't that difficult. When I sit back now, having got this brand new phone that's charging up now in another room in my house, I'm sitting back and thinking, why didn't I do it earlier? Well, it's because I didn't take responsibility. I didn't put myself at cause and I didn't do it. And you might say, you're really pulling this one out. But yeah, each thing is about taking responsibility, taking action. And I just wanted for you to think anyway. It's like a little nudge from me saying, I know we know this stuff. I know it as much as anybody. And I still fall into the trap. So I thought it would be good to remind you, having reminded myself about this, to think, have you got things that you're maybe stagnating in? You're not making a choice, or you're saying you can't make a choice because of this and that and giving excuses, reasons why you can't. You're not being at cause. I just want you to think, be thoughtful about this. That was my note. That's how I wanted you to feel. Just a bit of thought, a bit of thoughtfulness for yourself, where you can just look at what's happening in your world and say, am I responsible for everything? Have I taken responsibility of everything? And am I taking action to get what I want? If you are, the hat I'm not wearing would be off if I was wearing it to you. I'd tip my hat to you. But I guess we're all roughly the same, aren't we? I guess you must be in some ways, because if you listen to this, you're going to be very similar to me, I guess. So maybe just cast your mind around or think in the future. Maybe this will just remind you when you're sitting there going, I'm not sure if I should do this or that. You go, right, no, I'm going to take some action. Because the whole point about this is once you take action with an outcome in mind and you're aware of what is happening when you take that action, guess what happens? If you're slightly off target, you bring yourself back. It's in those 5 keys to success that I've talked about so many times. Have your outcome. When you've got your outcome, take action. A lot of it is massive intuitive action, but only that massive intuitive action when you've considered everything. And when you're doing that, you've got to have awareness. Are you on target? Are you going? How far have you gone along? And as you're doing that, if you're slightly off target or if you're not going fast enough or you're going too far, you have the flexibility to alter your behaviors, alter your direction, alter the things you do, because this is the ultimate of being responsible. And because you're flexible, you're aware, you know where you're going, you can act from that wonderful state of success, the psychology and physiology of excellence. I know that was only 4 keys, there's a 5th one around, and that's my challenge to you. What was that 4th one? That 4th key out of the 5 keys to success. There you go. That's something to think about, isn't it? Anyway, have more fun than you can stand. Enjoy every heartbeat. And just notice that this 5-minute quickie is probably a little bit shorter than normal, but longer than 5 minutes. Hope you enjoyed every second of this. And if I did give you a nudge and you didn't need one, I apologise. If I did give you a nudge and you think, oh, bloody hell, Cluffy's right, send me an email and say, Cluffy was right. feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. My meta note was, it's all back to choice, and you have to choose. Become responsible. Be it cause. Okay, have more fun than you can stand. See you next time. Bye. Before you go, my friend, I'd like to ask you a question. Did you learn something from this episode? I hope you did, because even though every episode may not be the one that really floats your boat, sets you, alight, hopefully there's a takeaway in each and every episode for you. And I'd love to know what it was. So please do email me at feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. It's a personal email to me. I'd love to know so we can carry on doing this work that will allow you to exceed your dreams. And what's the payment for this? Payment, Cluffy? What are you talking about payment? I thought it was free. Well, it's like pay it forward. And if you could pay this forward in 2 ways, or maybe 3. The first way is please share it. Share this podcast with as many people as you could. And you can. It's very easy. Just press that share button. Send it off by email to them. You'd love to. This is something you might get that right, Paul. Something you might enjoy. And hey, if you could, a real big pay it forward to me is wherever you're getting this podcast, is it iTunes, Castbox, or Stitcher, or whichever you're getting it from, Google Play, I don't know. Would you please just leave a review? Because the review really helps people find this podcast. There's thousands out there, and I want to direct people to this podcast. And the way to do it is by reviews. So if you could do that, if you could share, you could do that. And also just make sure that you're subscribed so you get this episode and every other episode on a Wednesday and a Saturday. If you could do all of that, my little heart will sing. And if you want me to sing, well, you'll have to wait and see. Enjoy. But please do all of that. Make my heart sing. Bye-bye now.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.